Greetings, 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 good people. Welcome to Planet Venus. My name is Dr. Venus Evans Winters, also known as Dr. V. Today on Planet Venus, I will walk you through how to discover a research topic. How to discover a research and writing topic. So grab your pens and your writing journals. Let's get started. You can also find out more about who I am as a research and policy scholar, or if you do have any questions about the presentation today, you can find me at www.venusevanswinters.com. How to choose a research topic. First, the first step in choosing a research topic is to reflect on your personal experiences. Ask yourself two questions. What have been my personal experiences? Okay, so reflect on that. What have been your personal experiences? Two, as you reflect on your personal experiences, think about what formal or informal observations you have made about the social world. So when we think about informal observations, maybe we're talking about something that was not conducted systematically. So maybe it was an observation in your neighborhood, in your family, say children playing, maybe you were watching kids out of school, or informal observations may have been, say, something you saw on the news or something you watched personally in social media. Whereas a formal observation means something that was actually conducted by you or someone else. So maybe you read a research article, maybe you read maybe you actually participated in and implemented a study, an actual systematic study. So think about as you're thinking about your topics, what have been your personal experiences and any formal or informal observations that you have already made about the social world. Two, reflect on your professional experiences. So it has helped me whenever I'm trying to think about a research topic, right? Or when I'm trying to think about what I want to write about. Maybe it's for a journal article, maybe it's for a book chapter, maybe it's a book proposal, maybe it's even for formal presentation, oral presentation. I do reflect on my professional experiences. So think about this question. Okay, so answer this question. What have you learned from the formal relationships that you have encountered? What have you learned from the formal relationships that you have encountered? Two, what observations have you made about systems or institutions? Okay, so think about that. Now, when we're thinking about a research question or what something we want to write on formally, a good way to come up with a meaningful research topic or writing topic is to really think about your professional experiences. And based off your professional experiences, what social problems do you believe need to be addressed? Okay, so don't start with your professors, don't start with your advisors or what your homies might think. What problems do you think need to be addressed? What social problems or challenges do you believe need to be addressed? So, again, so first we're going to reflect. Remember from the previous slide, when thinking about a research topic, we're going to reflect on our personal experiences, right? So, usually for me, I'm starting with who I am as a Black girl and as a Black woman now. Okay. But when I'm thinking about my professional experiences, I'm thinking about what have been my experiences and observations based off what I learned in colleges, teaching my university students? What have I learned as a colleague to other scholars, other professors? I think about my relationships with my students, my graduate students, my undergraduate students. Also, when I'm reflecting on my professional experiences, I'm thinking about not only who I am as a professor, but also who I am as a clinician, as a social worker. What have I seen when I was a younger, person and working in group homes with boys? So all of these professional experiences. What is it like sitting on, school boards or interacting with local politicians? So again, what problems based off professional experiences do you believe need to be addressed? Okay, so go ahead and answer that. Write the question in your journal, your writing journals, and then answer the question: what problems need to be addressed? What are some problems that need to be addressed based off my own professional experiences? Okay, next, think about this question: what are some changes that need to be made in that environment? So, whatever environment you worked in, think about what changes need to be made. So, remember, we're looking at three areas: relationships, systems, as well as institutions. Okay, so that's the way to narrow it so that you can know what to focus on. So, in those environments, so I already named some places that I have formerly worked. I have worked in K through 12 settings. I have worked in colleges and universities. I have worked as a clinician. I have worked in social services. I'm trying to think of other places. I've worked on boards, professional boards, as a board member. Okay, I've worked in advocacy and activist spaces. So think about the environment itself. So when you're thinking about a potential research topic, ask, what changes need to be made in those environments? Okay, so think about the actual environment. So I just said when I was very young, in my early 20s, I worked in a group home for boys, an independent living home, I should say, an independent living home for boys who were making the transition between basically boyhood to adulthood. So they were making a transition from high school out into the real world, or from foster care, child protective services, out to the real world. Okay, so what did I see in that group home? So I would think about the group home as the environment under study, or it might be a school, right? It might be the courtroom. So you think about that. What are some of your professional experiences? Next, when reflecting on your personal experiences, what worked as far as relationships? What worked in the as a system, from a systems perspective? What was functioning in those systems? What worked in those institutions or in those environments? Okay, then ask yourself, what didn't work? What did not work in those professional relationships? What aspects of those systems were not functional? What about those institutions that were dysfunctional? Okay, so usually, again, when you're thinking about a research topic, a meaningful research topic, one that you're going to feel good about engaging in, one that you're going to stay engaged in, one that's going to motivate you to go out and actually do this research, whether it's short term or long term, and you enjoy the experience, is by reflecting on your personal experiences, actual lived experiences, and bringing meaning to those lived experiences through the research process, and by reflecting on your professional experiences. Okay, so we bridge the world between personal and professional when you think about researching and writing meaningfully. Okay, so next, as you see on the bottom of the bullet point, oh no, we did that. So let's go over the three again. So what problems need to be addressed based off your professional reflections? What changes need to be addressed within that environment? And also what worked or didn't work in that particular environment? Okay, so I just gave you two tips and two steps to go through when choosing a research topic, okay, or writing topic. One, reflect on your personal experiences, those lived experiences. Two, reflect on your professional experiences, any professional experiences. And next, this is really good. reflect on your formal training. So actually reflect on your education. So sometimes we go out of our wheelhouse. You don't want to do that when it comes to choosing a research topic, because you're more than likely going to be stuck with your research topic for a long time, either for a semester or for the next 4 or 5 years if you're a graduate student. So think about it like that. Okay. So next, after you've reflected on your personal and professional experiences, now you're going to reflect on what you're actually trained to do. What has your education prepared you to do? So now we're talking about the parameters of research, okay? The tools that you need to complete a research project. So ask yourself, grab your journal. I always keep a journal. Have my pen right here. Love my journal, okay? My writing journal. Get a writing journal. Reflect on your formal training in education. So first, I want you to ask yourself in your writing journal, what new information did you learn? What new information did you learn? So is there anything in your studies that you found exciting? Is there anything in your education or in your training that you found brought you joy? Like, whoa, I want to learn more about this. So that's where you start. So, what information that was new to you that you may want to explore more of? Okay. Um, Next, in your journal, reflect on this question: how can you integrate that new knowledge? So, meaning something that you just learned with any previous knowledge. So, something you already knew or something that you were already introduced to. Okay. So, again, how can you integrate that new knowledge, the knowledge from your education, into any previous knowledge, something that you already knew? This is an important step. Okay. So right here, what I'm teaching you all is how information is integrated and how the brain, the mind likes to connect old information with new information. And then believe it or not, that's where creativity and genius is born. So remember that. Okay, y'all getting me excited. Next question for your writing journal: what does the current research state? So, whatever you're thinking about, this old idea integrated with this new idea, what does the research state? So, what is the research in your courses telling you about the state of the world or some social problem or challenge? And next, um, what are some theories that you've been introduced to about the social world? Okay, so I'm gonna give you some examples. So when I think about integrating the old with the new, for example, so for me, when I was a graduate student, I studied. Actually, I was an undergraduate student. I read a lot about. At that time, I was reading about basically Black history. Okay, so Black history, and then I was introduced to the Civil Rights Movement, and I come from a family that had already been studying, teaching me about African culture and about Black history, especially American Black history. And so, what I did when I got into these sociology classes that focused on the civil rights movement, I said, I kind of know that. But what I wanted to do is, what was new to me was this thing called feminist theory, right? Feminist theory. So I asked and I was very much interested in Black women's role in building feminism and how Black women can think about feminism differently. So what I did was I married the two concepts. Aha, the civil rights movement, where women were rarely talked about, and this thing called feminism, where white women were centered. And any extra ideas about feminism, I had to, go outside of the class syllabus and say, hey, where are the Black women? So I just married these two ideas, these two theories about the social world and this new knowledge. And I say, aha, so we have the civil rights movement that centers men. We have the feminist movement or women's movement that centers white women. So guess what I'm going to do? I'm gonna marry these two theories, and I want to know, where are Black women in the telling of the civil rights movement? So that's how I began. That's how I actually started my journey as a Black woman scholar. Is I was very much interested in Black women's activism, and so I just married two concepts: the idea of feminism with Black activism, bridged it together, and had an aha moment and came up with this idea to do more research on Black women and girls as active citizens in this country. And just it kind of grew from there. Okay. But that'll go beyond the scope of this discussion. So I gave you 3 tips. So start with personal experiences, professional experiences and reflections, your formal training. And next, what I want you to do is I want you to think about your pain. Yes, I want you to think about your pain. In your writing journal, I want you to actually name your pain. Name your pain. And I want you, in thinking about your pain, I want you to ask this question: what is a social problem or challenge that you can identify at the local level, state level, or national level? And when you think about those problems, those challenges, how would they motivate you to participate in helping change come about? Okay, so another way of stating that is when you know your pain, you know what you want to change. When you know your pain, you know what you want to change. So, using the example that I gave earlier. So, like I said, I had already been introduced to the civil rights movement and Black people's role in that, especially centering Black men. But I was also introduced to this idea of women's movement and Black, well, first feminism and then Black feminism. But I was also interested in these feminisms, and I was interested in the civil rights movement because where I come from, I was witnessing a lot of pain. And I asked, what can I do to change that pain, to eliminate that pain, to alleviate that pain, that social suffering? And so from naming my pain, being able to identify, I knew what I wanted to change. So before that, use an example from the previous slide, I had worked in a women's shelter, and I was, talking to and engaging with people who were survivors of domestic violence. They were trying to get away from their abusers in this shelter. And so I was very much interested, from a sociological perspective, how do women push back against patriarchy? How do women push back against abusive relationships? How do women fight back against systems that are oppressive and marginalizing? How do women, Black women especially, how do they change institutions? Did y'all catch that pattern? Relationships, systems, and institutions. And what are my interests? What is my stake in changing this condition? So you make that your research topic. You make what you feel is a pain point that you will be motivated to change through the research and writing process, your topic. So I hope that helped. Name your pain. Next. Okay, research isn't always about pain. Sometimes research, at least for me, is about joy and pleasure. Research can be pleasurable. Writing is pleasurable. Writing is healing. So I like to think about how can I use the research and writing process to bring about social, political, and economic change. So a question that I want you to reflect on in your writing journal is, how might I want to represent positive social, political, and interpersonal relationships? Okay. And I'll ask the question again. You're going to write in your writing journal and respond to the following question: how do you want to represent positive social, political, and interpersonal relationships? Okay. So when you answer this question, you're actually thinking about your role in helping to solve larger uh, man-made problems, or I don't know if they're just man-made, maybe depending on what type of research and writing you do, it can be natural, disasters or catastrophes. But for me, it's coming from a sociological background, right? I'm more interested in how do I use the research process to push back, to fight back, because in that pushing, in that fighting back, in that alleviating pain, it can bring more joy to me, to my communities that I care about, uh, as well as to the overall human condition. So, again, in your journal, how do you want to represent positive social, political, and interpersonal relationships? So, think about that when you're reflecting on a potential research topic. Next, and this is a big one, this is a very, very big one, especially for graduate students. Choose a research topic that is personal to you. Okay, so let me tell y'all. All right. Now, when I say let me tell you something, let me tell you something that I've seen. Let Dr. V speak. I come across a lot of novice researchers, a lot of graduate students who they're choosing a research or writing topic because they think it's the sexy topic of the time. They think it's sexy, right? It's hot, it's fresh off the press. Everybody's talking about this topic. Well, the problem is if everybody's talking about your topic, you're not adding too much new and refreshing to the conversation, meaning that there are probably dozens, if not hundreds, if not thousands of people researching that same topic. And it's probably going to be people who are researching it with a lot of resources, more resources than you. So my point is not to say don't research a topic. I'm not telling you not to research a topic that's already popular. What I am suggesting is that you do not want to choose a research topic because it's hot in the moment, or because you think it's going to bring you attention in the moment. Because one thing you're going to find is that, like, re- research trends or social trends, they come and go. They come and go. So it's probably best not to choose something that's hot right now. You know how you hear the saying 15 minutes of fame? Well, there are research topics that have 15 minutes of fame. So try to not choose something just because everybody else is talking about it and you think that it's going to bring you attention. No, choose something that you're passionate about. Two, I would strongly suggest not simply choosing a topic because your advisor or your professor likes it, or that's what your colleagues need for you to focus on, maybe for a grant or something. No, you don't want to choose a topic because somebody else wants it meets somebody else's needs. You want to choose a topic that's actually yours. It's personal. It's reflective of your personal experiences. It's going to bring meaning to your personal experiences. Or you want to choose a topic, not or and you want to choose a topic that hopefully will help solve a problem in your professional workplace or in your personal uh, community, right? So maybe you do seek a better understanding of a social problem or a challenge that's affecting your family, your community, your social world, etc. Right? Because I think the purpose of research is to, again, help to shed light on a problem, to alleviate or to mitigate social problems. I like to say to make one woman's, one child's, one family's life easier one day at a time. Now, that's my politics when it comes to research, but for you, when thinking about a potential research topic, I strongly suggest that you choose a topic that has meaning to you. Okay, meaning that you'll still find motivation and joy and pleasure 10 years from now or 5 years from now with that topic. And that's not to say that, you're forever married to a topic. You're not. I'm just saying find a topic that you're going to feel energized about every time you read about it, every time you're writing about it. That's very important. Next, I highly suggest to choose a research topic that is relevant to your course of study. There is nothing like being out of your lane. Okay, so you definitely want to choose a potential research topic, or choose a research topic that you've actually been prepared to study. So meaning, choose a topic that's relevant to your discipline. Choose a topic that other people have begun to research in your discipline. Okay, and make sure that you're choosing a topic that your discipline has already introduced you to the tools to know about. And that can be pieces of literature, it can be books, it might be citations, it might be something your professors are, presenting on or having discourse on already. So yeah, choose a topic that you have actually been prepared to study. Next, try to choose a research topic that others in your discipline find worthwhile. And that's similar to before. Okay, so people in your discipline should be having conversations around it. So for example, as someone in the area of research and policy, and as someone in the areas of sociology, education, and gender studies, and mental health, you can best believe I'm more than likely not going to try to understand or choose a research topic that, say, falls under computer science or falls under artificial intelligence, unless somehow it relates to people, unless somehow it relates to critical theory, or somehow it's going to shape policy as it relates to race and gender, right? So you get my point. Find a topic that's relevant to your discipline and others in your discipline will get excited about, because those are the people that you're going to go to support you. And also you're going to have literature and references, previous research to support your research proposal. Also, and this is similar, you want to choose a research topic that builds upon the current literature, or it challenges the status quo of your discipline. So you're adding to the conversation. You're adding to a conversation that's already going on, okay? Either to critique or to support the topic. Next, when you think about the personal and professional intersecting, so remember we talked about the personal and professional. When you think about the personal and professional intersecting, what topic comes to mind? Okay, so I'm going to ask that question again. When you went through the previous steps and you were writing in your reflection journal, your writing journal, your research and writing journal, when you thought about the personal and the professional, your personal and professional experiences intersecting, what topic came to mind? Now, keep in mind that your background knowledge, any training, and all your interests and your tastes, they're going to guide your research interests. Okay, so that's how you find a research topic, when the personal and the political begin to intersect and overlap. Okay, so let me say that again. When the personal and the professional begin to intersect or overlap, that's probably where you're going to find a meaningful research topic that you are passionate about, something that you care about. Okay, so at this time, I'm going to end this conversation on choosing a research topic. Again, if you have any more questions, you can find me at www.venusevanswinters.com or here on Planet Venus.